Hello, creative friends. My name is Cheryl Dorsey. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to the Stamping Squad. Today, I have a very easy, very quick card to share with you, and I think you're gonna love this one. It's super easy to make. So you can make a lot of these in a short amount of time, and today I used a paper that is in the current SALE-a-bration brochure. Today is January the 13th. It's Friday the 13th. Oh my goodness, I hope everything goes okay with this video. It's Friday the 13th, 2023. And the beginning of January all the way through the end of February is SALE-a-bration. And if you're not familiar with that, during SALE-a-bration, when we purchase products in the amount of $50 or $100, we get to choose something free from this brochure. And so the paper I'm using today is free with a $50 product purchase. And let me show you here. It's called Dainty Flowers. The pack of paper is called Dainty Flowers. It's 12 by 12 paper, and there are 12 sheets in the pack. Here's a look at the paper, but better than that, let me show you the actual paper here. It's so gorgeous. You know, Stampin' Up! Does a beautiful job with colors and patterns, and this paper is really fantastic. I do not know if it will show up on the video, but the background of this paper actually looks like there's some texture there. So it's very fancy. Love it, love it. Let me show you all the front sides of these dainty flowers. This one's got more green in it, a little bit green in the background, and then all the stems and leaves. This one, more dainty flowers. They're a little bit smaller than the other page I showed you. This one's got fresh freesia. This one is super fun because it has all of these images that you could cut out and put on your cards. You could just stamp a sentiment in there and you'd be good to go. And then the last page, I only have a partial sheet because I have used so much of it. And this is the sheet we're going to be using today. So just imagine that it's an extra 4 inches longer here. And I love it when Stampin' Up! Does a sheet like this because we can just cut it along here. And then if you're using a 4-inch width, you can get 3 pieces of paper here for 3 cards. 3 on the other side, 6 cards out of this one sheet of paper. And look at that, gorgeous. Makes it so easy to make a really pretty card. Let me show you the back side of these papers because we know that the back sides are always wonderful too. The green, look at this. I love that. All the splatters. Looks like watercolor. Really pretty. The back of the fresh freesia. This is super fun. This is Starry Sky, one of the current in colors. And this one has petal pink on the back. And this one has got the fresh freesia with polka dots. One of my favorites, polka dots. I love anything with polka dots. And then here we have another sheet with the beautiful watercolor and the spatters. So I wasn't sure when I first saw this paper in the brochure if it was something that I wanted. But I'm so glad that I chose to get it free with my purchase. So let's talk about this card. Let me pull over here all the different pieces and parts that I used and that we will use today to make a card. This is a piece of the Starry Sky Cardstock. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored right here in the middle at 4 1/4. Then we also need a piece of basic white cardstock. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Then a piece of that beautiful Dainty Flowers paper, 4 inches by 5 1/2. Then another piece of the paper, if you remember that's on one of the back sides, it's 1/2 inch by 4 inches. Another little piece of that that's 1/2 inch by 2.5 inches. And then last, a piece that is 1 inch by 2 inches. Now let me tell you something about that. I was going to use just a piece of white cardstock, and you could sure do that. That would be perfectly appropriate. It would go well with the other elements here. But I'm going to show you what I discovered. So when I cut this, the length of the paper this way that I wanted to cut was 5.5 inches. So I cut here at 5.5 inches. And then on this side, I cut at 5.5 inches. Well, 5.5 plus 5.5, if I could do my math, is 11 inches. And this paper is 12 inches, right? So took 5.5 here, took 5.5 here. So I was left with a 1 inch wide strip from the middle. And I thought, well, I could just use that paper, right, to stamp my sentiment. And so that is what I did. I just took that strip and I just cut it, the length of it according to the sentiment that I chose to use. And that's actually a piece of designer series paper. So I thought that was cool. I didn't waste anything, right? I didn't waste any of my paper. Let me go ahead and tell you the stamp set that I'm using today is the Cup of Tea stamp set, and it is from the current annual catalog. I am using the sentiment that says, take care of yourself. There we go. Okay, so now let's put this together. Let me grab this first, this little piece of designer series paper. And I'm going to go ahead and do my stamping first. So let me get a piece of scratch paper here just to make sure that I don't make a mess. And I'm going to use the Starry Sky ink. Again, this is one of the current in colors. It is really a gorgeous blue. I don't know if the video can really pick up how nice this color is, but it's dark and bright at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but dark and bright at the same time. Okay, let's see if I can get myself on here. There we go, and I'm just gonna hold that in place for just a moment. This is a photopolymer stamp, so it's clear. I can see through it. I can see where I'm putting it, and there we go. Take care of yourself. Let me close this up. Awesome, and I think I'll just take that out of the way. We don't need it. Back to our card. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take this piece of cardstock that I already scored, and I'm going to use my bone folder, and I'm going to run it across this crease right here because it really pushes down that crease, makes it tighter, so your card wants to stay closed and is not always trying to flip open like that. Then this piece of designer series paper, and I cut the paper to be the same height as the card base, but I left a little margin on each side. All right, let me grab my multi-purpose glue, my favorite adhesive, and ooh, I had it sitting upside down and the glue is right at the end. Okay. Here we go. So when I use my glue, I actually touch the tip of the glue to the paper. And I'm almost like drawing the glue onto the paper. So very, very little pressure to squeeze the glue out because we just need a little bit. It's very strong. It's a very strong adhesive, so just a little bit will do. And then I just kind of spread it with the tip of the glue container. And I'm just moving this just a little bit to adjust it, to get it right where I want it. And then I'm gonna actually take my bone folder. Sometimes that's a nice way to make sure that it's adhered well, that the glue is distributed underneath it so you don't end up with any bumps. So we've got that. Now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the inside of the card. So for the inside of the card, I don't think I showed it to you. Let me show you so you know where we're going. Here's the piece of white cardstock and then just the little strip of designer series paper at the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me take these Post-it notes off and we'll just put a little bit of glue on here. And then we'll press it onto our cardstock. And I think I'll put it right about here. I always like to put a little bit of decoration on the inside of my cards. I don't always stamp on the inside. I tend to like to write a message on the inside, but I do like to decorate it. So sometimes I'll stamp an image, not a sentiment, but an image. And sometimes I use just a little bit of designer series paper. And we are ready to adhere this. So again, kind of drawing, that's the best way I can describe it, the glue onto the paper. And then, let me get it centered. And then pressing down. And whenever I'm doing something with a white cardstock, I don't like to run my hands across it, my fingers across it, because if I have a little bit of glue or a little bit of ink on my fingers, I don't want to get that on the white cardstock. So sometimes I like to flip it over and then press on the back. Okay, now we are almost done, believe it or not. I'm just going to take this little piece of designer series paper and the one that I stamped on, and I'm just going to glue them together. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here, remembering that the ends are going to be exposed, so I don't want to take glue all the way to the end. And I'm just going to press those together to see if it looks pretty straight. Yeah, I think it does. Okay, and then I used some dimensionals to kind of pop this up on the front of my card. So let me grab my dimensionals here. They are. I love using dimensionals. I think it's just a quick and easy way to make the card just a little bit more interesting. I think I'm going to go ahead and put 3 on here just because I don't want the middle to cave in. There we go. And let me pull off the backing. So I hope everybody's 2023 is off to a good start. I live in California and we are having a lot of rain, which we always need rain because it always seems like we're in a drought condition. Although, now I'm in Southern California, so yes, we've been receiving a lot of rain, but in Northern California, it's actually been a problem. A lot of places have flooded, so I'm thankful that, that we have not had that issue, but I know that some people are dealing with that. The last thing that I did for my card was I used one of these brushed brass butterflies. Now I'm going to tell you, I usually do not say that right. It's a real tongue twister for me. So, but if I'm looking at it and I'm reading it, then I can read it correctly. But if I just off the top of my head try to say it, I get the words all mixed up. But anyway, these are brushed brass butterflies. You can find them in the annual catalog as well. And I am just going to put one on here. I'm using my Take Your Pick tool. It's got a little bit of something sticky, like a little sticky putty on the end. And so I'm just going to pick up one of these butterflies, and I think I'm going to put it right here. And I'm just going to press that down. I love these because they're flat, so they don't create any bulk or bump on your card. If you're planning to mail your card, sometimes it's good to keep it as flat as possible. Okay, that's it. That's the whole thing. So if you get this paper, or if you get some other Stampin' Up! Paper that has this kind of a design on it, where the images are along the sides, now you know what to do. If you didn't know what to do with that before, because I have had people say, what do I do with this? The pattern is not all over it. I'm not sure what to do. Simple. Cut it here, use those pieces as the front of your card. Looks gorgeous, and you're done. All right, thank you so much for tuning in today. I will be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.